Hello and welcome back to Chance Myanmar. We are going to get started with Unit 5. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are going to be looking at negotiation. What is negotiation? I want you to think for a moment. Have you ever had to negotiate? By the end of this lesson, you will understand the basic stages of negotiation. You will be able to set out your conditions. You will be able to deal with disagreements. You will be able to conclude a negotiation, summarize the points. There's a lot to go through, so let's get started. So why might we negotiate? Well, you may need to negotiate some prices with suppliers. You might need to negotiate a pay rise or a promotion. There's many different business situations where you will need to negotiate. Some people think that negotiation is about winning. It's not. It's about compromise. And I want to take you through some stages and give you some essential phrases and vocabulary that you're going to use at each stage. So let's get started. Let's take a look at this chart. This is going to show you the different stages of negotiation. We are going to go through them step by step. The first thing you need to do is establish your position. This is after your basic greeting. Remember, take your mind back to our previous lessons on introductions. Small talk, you will have done that already. So now we establish our position. Let's have a look at some phrases that we can use to do that. Establishing your position is all about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. What do you want? What do you want to come from this negotiation? So you could say things like, I suggest we are thinking to, we would prefer to. What we are looking for is. You should be writing these down in your notebooks. I would like you to think about how you could complete these sentences. You need to prepare for our live session because I will be asking you for your examples. Negotiation is a two-way street. So it's not just you establishing your position. You need to ask the other party some questions. What is it that they want? Because remember, you need to think about compromise. So let's have a look at some phrases you could use to ask them about their position. You could ask them, what are your views on? Do you have any suggestions for? Would you like to suggest a course of action? How do you feel about? How would you complete these sentences? You need to think about the negotiations that you would have in your life and make it relevant to you. The next stage of negotiation is all about you setting your conditions. This part of the negotiation is about suggesting and considering possibilities. We can do this by using if sentences and modals. Let's take a look at some example phrases you could use to set your conditions. So, if you offered us a higher price, we could, I want you to complete this sentence. If you committed to buying a larger fill in the blank, we could, we would. What could you do? What's the negotiation there? If you needed to increase the order size, we could, we would. How can you complete that sentence? Providing you increase the order size by 10%, we could offer you, give you, complete the sentence. We might be able to work on increasing the order if you could fill in the blank. Remember, negotiation is all about compromise. What is good for you and your company may not be good for the other party. So there are going to be some disagreements and you need to know how to handle them. So let's have a look at some phrases you can use to do that. You could say, I'm afraid that's not acceptable to us. We're prepared to compromise, but if you look at it from our point of view, that's not exactly the way we see it. Is that your best offer? I understand where you're coming from, but think about those buts. Think about disagreeing politely, and then you're going to try and reach a solution. So you've had your disagreements, but in the business world, it's all about problem solving. So now you have a solution. The next stage is reaching agreement. So you could simply say, we agree. We agree to those terms. You could say, this is a fair suggestion. Or, you have a point. I can't see any problem with that. As long as you agree to those terms, we will fill in the blanks. How could you complete that sentence? So you're almost there. We're not at the end yet. You have to summarize the points from this negotiation. This is really, really important because you need to go over everything that has been agreed, and then you need to think about the next action. So let's have a look at some phrases. As always, write these down. You do need to practice using them. You could say, can we summarize what we've agreed so far? Let's look at the points we agree on. Shall we try to sum up the points of our discussion? Let's sum this up to make sure we're on the same page. You then need to talk about what's going to happen next. So the next step is, so we'll draw up the contracts, or we'll be in touch soon to finalize the details. We've finished. You survived this lesson on negotiation skills. I told you to write all these phrases down. I would now like you to start putting everything together. Make sure you check out the files for some listening activities. You will hear a real life negotiation. Make sure you come back to lesson 2. We are going to look at marketing. We're going to go through lots and lots of vocabulary. Bring your pens and your notebooks. I'll see you soon.